Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Magic the Gathering panel at PAX East. I know we've got some folks still coming in the back, but we want to get started because we've got a lot of stuff to share with you today. And we want to leave some time at the end in case there are any products that we don't mention that you want to ask about.
Ominous.
I'm Mark Purvis. I'm the brand director for Magic. Up on stage with me, I've got Dave Humphreys, I've got Jenna Helland, and Dave Guskin from Magic R&D and Creative. These are the guys that make your favorite game.
We're glad you like it.
Before we get into what we're going to be going through, I just wanted to take a minute to thank all of you, the Magic fans. You guys are the best fans in gaming. Magic's been around, yes. You know, Magic's been around for over 20 years now, and the Theros release that just came out is actually Magic's biggest release ever. There are more people playing Magic than ever before in its history. And you guys bring creativity and passion and enthusiasm to the game and to the community that makes Magic about much more than just the card game, and so we wanted to say thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so these folks are going to do a deep dive into Journey into Nyx, and they're going to give you some exclusive sneak peeks into the epic conclusion of the Theros block. Before we get to that, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what we've announced here at PAX and some of the things that are going on at PAX, and I've got a special announcement of my own about the Magic 2015 core set. So to start with, how many of you have been down to our booth already? That's great.
Nice.
So we announced Duels of the Planeswalkers, Magic 2015 Duels of the Planeswalkers, the newest version of that game. And it is available for demo here at PAX for the very first time. You are the first people that have had a chance to take a look at the demo build of this game. If you haven't had a chance to go down to our booth, I wanted to make sure that you all saw the teaser trailer video at the beginning of the demo, because it really sets up what's going to be going on this summer with one of our favorite Planeswalker characters. So I'm going to play it right now. Hide your eyes, teens. So what's going on with Garrick here? He's our green planeswalker, right? He's our Beastmaster, the man who reveres nature by hunting. Well, he's been cursed by the Chain Veil at the hands of Liliana Vess. And I think she's sitting in the back somewhere.
Watch out.
Because of this curse, his mind has been corrupted, and that ethos of the hunt has been twisted. And now he's hunting bigger game. He's hunting planeswalkers. So if you've played through Magic 2014 Duels of the Planeswalkers, last year's version, you'll recognize that Fencer as the default avatar for players. So the implication here is clear. Garrick is hunting you now. And so that's where we start things with Magic 2015. That's where the story picks up. So definitely get down to the booth and check it out. Once you go through the demo, you'll get an exclusive pin while supplies last. We've also got some show-exclusive apparel, like the Garrick shirts that we're wearing up here with the Penny Arcade art that glow in the dark. They're pretty cool. Check those out. We've got a lot of other stuff going on as well. We've got a Planeswalker cosplay scavenger hunt going on. And that's what the card that you have in front of you is about. So you can take a picture of someone at this convention dressed as a planeswalker and post it with that hashtag. You only need one photo to enter for the chance to win a trip to a VIP package for 2 to PAX Prime. So it's a pretty cool prize. I would encourage you guys to maybe grab Jace over here or Liliana on the way out after the panel and snap a picture with them. We've got a photo op as well. And at the end of our booth, there's an opportunity for you to go to a store locator and type in your zip code to find a Magic community near you. If you guys are looking for a new playgroup, there are thousands of stores worldwide that are playing Magic events on a weekly basis. So check it out. They're offering a wide variety of different experiences, and you can find one near you at our booth or online. And speaking of play, have any of you been down to the tabletop area to play Magic here? So TJ Collectibles is running some amazing events for people of all skill levels. If you just want to do a quick casual play, you can jump into the Hunt for Garrick League. There's something for everybody there. I think they even still have a couple of tournaments left where the prize is a complete foil set of Modern Masters. So there's some good stuff. Go check it out. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is some of the things that we're doing a little bit differently with the core set this year. One of the things you already know about, there's going to be a pro tour for the Magic 2015 core set. That's the first time we've ever done that for a core set. So in August, you'll be able to see some of the best players in the world competing with new cards from the Magic 2015 core set. We also have some special activities planned at the pre-release. So if you don't have a local game store that you're going into, check one out and see if they're going to be running the pre-release on July 11th. The last thing, something we've never done before, has to do with these list of names. Now, you may recognize some of the names on this list. Some of you may recognize all of the names on this list. But what they have to do with Magic 2015 is something that I'm going to let the creator of Plants vs. Zombies, George Fan, announce.
Oh, hey everyone at the PAX East Magic panel. I'm George Fan, creator of Plants vs. Zombies, and I'm a huge fan of Magic. I started playing back in Revised. When I opened my first booster, I was immediately drawn to this one card, Force of Nature. It had this crazy mana cost of 2GGGG, and it was this humongous 8/8 trample creature. From then on, I knew I was a green mage, and I've been casting green spells ever since. As a designer, I've always looked up to Magic as one of the best design games of all time. In fact, it's even influenced some of my own game design. For instance, did you know in Plants vs. Zombies, at one point we had you customizing your own deck of seed packets? That mechanic didn't make it in, but we left the seed packet theme in as a tribute to it. Now, what if I told you that a bunch of game designers who designed some of your favorite games all use their skills to create brand new cards for you to play? It's true, these 14 game designers each created a card for this summer's Magic 2015 core set. I'm super excited to see what some of the other designers came up with. But for now, I get to show you the card that I made. Presenting Genesis Hydra. For green, green, and X, you get to look at the top X cards of your library and put a non-land permanent from them into play, as long as it costs X or less. Oh, and you get an X power and toughness Hydra too. The inspiration behind Genesis Hydra is that green as a color plays really well with X spells, and I wanted to create a really good X spell. The card is a riff off of Genesis Wave, which is also, it's one of the most fun to cast X spells out there. I tested the card out in a few decks, and it is indeed a blast to play with. Because Magic has been such a big part of my life, getting to create a Magic card and be a part of Magic history is just like a dream come true. So thank you, Wizards, for letting me be a part of this. Well, I gotta get back to my Magic games, so enjoy the rest of the show, and go check out the Magic booth to get a chance to play Duels of the Planeswalkers 2015 before anybody else gets a chance to.
We love you, George. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for bringing us Genesis Hydra.
It's so awesome.
So you'll see something a little bit different on these cards, and I don't think my laser pointer can reach there, but for the Magic 2015 printings of these designer cards, they're going to have an attribution on them to who submitted the design idea for them. So we've always known that Magic was played by some of the best minds in gaming. This list of folks are a bunch of very influential game designers that all submitted card ideas to Wizards of the Coast, and then Magic R&D developed them into cards that you'll see in Magic 2015. So if you guys have been following, the Penny Arcade webcomic, you might recognize the card that Mike and Jerry submitted as something that figures prominently in some of the strips that Gabe and Tycho are in. If you're fans of Minecraft, you'll be tickled by the card that Notch has in the set. There's a bunch of really cool, very different Magic cards that make this set very unique. And there's one other thing that needs to go on this list, and that's you guys, because for the last year and a half, you've been submitting card ideas and voting on them and voting on art and choosing to work together to create Waste Not, which I know many of you have already seen, but now maybe it makes a little bit more sense why you have the attribution at the bottom of the card, because we believe that you are among the best minds in gaming. You really are the best fans, and we love you guys, so here's your card. Now, go ahead and clap. So one last thing before I turn things over for Journey into Nyx, I just wanted to give a shout out to Twitch TV. They have been amazing partners for us in streaming our Pro Tour coverage. Pro Tour Journey into Nyx is the weekend of May 16th. It's a chance for you to tune in and see some of the best players in the world compete for the title of Pro Tour Champion. In between rounds, we're going to have a bunch of special interviews, and in one of those, we're going to be introducing you to the new world that we'll be going to this fall. The codename is Huey. You have to wait a little bit longer, but we'll be able to tell you a little bit more when you do tune in on that Sunday broadcast, so be sure to check that out. And now I'm going to turn things over to the very talented Miss Jenna Helland.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. I want to talk some story stuff with you. We got a lot to talk about and not much time. We also have an exciting thing for you. You get to see the debut of the Journey into Nyx trailer. So,
Here we go.
There we go.
You guys ready for this?
When does a hero's journey begin? The moment you step outside the safety of your home? Or when you realize the fight has just begun? Is it when you comprehend how small you are compared to the vastness of what threatens to destroy you? When did you learn that the journey isn't a lonely road, and you didn't have to face the darkness alone? Lesser souls lose heart and lay down their swords. But a champion risks everything for the greater good. Take comfort in this. True heroes never die. The sun rises, the sun sets. But we all have to cross the river someday. Even her. Resign yourself to your glorious fate. I am coming to claim my prize.
So, welcome to Journey into Nyx. As the video asked, where does a hero's journey begin? For Elspeth, it began years ago when her home was destroyed on Bant in Shards of Alara. She's been searching for a home ever since. In that video, you saw a glimpse of her as a child, facing the monsters of her past. We've reached the last act of our hero's journey, and there are more monsters in store for Elspeth. There are more things she has to contend with until the day is won or lost. So, before we jump into storyline, I want to show you guys a card. I want to show you a God card. Here's his art. So a little bit about him before you see his awesome card. He is the god that is responsible for ferrying the dead into the underworld. It is said that he knows the name of every living, every dead, and every poor soul in between. He always carries that staff, and when he lays it on the river, it becomes a boat to ferry the dead to the underworld. This is Athreos, god of passage. So you guys like him, huh? Awesome. So you have to pay the boatman. You have to pay him gold, as you can see. He doesn't have any use for the gold, but you have to do it. And so it piles up in like towers at the edge of the underworld. And the thing about Athreos is while he inhabits this shadowy domain between the mortal realm and the underworld, he always can tell when things are bad in the mortal realm, and he comes to the very edge of the domain and he waits because he knows that legions of dead are going to be sweeping towards him, needing his services. And that's where we are right now in Theros. Things are bad. There's turmoil. And Athreos is making himself ready. All right, quick recap. Elspeth defeated a Hydra. She became a champion of Heliod. This was a great feat for her. She went to live in Miletus, where she actually lived in the temple compound to learn how to serve Heliod. She became close friends with Daxos, who is an oracle of Heliod. So Elspeth really found the home that she's been searching for since you saw in the video, since Bant. Things are good for Elspeth. Unfortunately, at the time, things are not good in the Pantheon. A feud between two gods was coming to a boil about the same time that Elspeth defeated the Hydra. There were more gods involved, but it was primarily between Heliod, god of the sun, and Perforos, god of the forge. And they have an ancient hatred, and they were both blaming each other for things that were going wrong in the mortal, or sort of strange in the mortal realm. And they basically forgot that when gods fight, mortals get squashed. And they almost destroyed Miletus. And this god, Crufix, god of horizons, had warned them, don't threaten the mortals, don't threaten mortal creation. And when they did, he punished them. So he's the god of horizons, but he also governs the domain of mysteries and time. And even the rest of the Pantheon sees him as this inscrutable elder god that has powers that they don't even understand. So when he was angry with Heliod and Perforos, he punished them, and he made them withdraw back into Nyx. In the novel, this is called The Silence. If you want more details, there's a lot of sort of narrative stuff on that. But what happened was, it's temporary, and it didn't last very long. Some of the gods figured out ways to cheat it almost immediately. But there was a short period of time in which divine intervention in the mortal realm was lessened. And that was the opportunity that this guy, Xenagos Satyr Planeswalker, needed. To become this guy, Xenagos, god of rebels. And I want to go into that in a little bit more detail in just a second, and sort of the implications of his ascension for Elspeth. But where we are now in the world, so in the mortal realm, as we go into Journey into Nyx, the natural order has been disturbed by Xenagos' ascension. You have Nyx-born creatures, the enchantment creatures that were from the gods' realm. They are flooding into the mortal realm. They are fighting the mortals. This is not really how the world is supposed to be. Here's some gorgeous new art of some of these hostile Nyx-born that are now giving the mortals so much trouble. So I want to go back to Xenagos' ascension really briefly. it all hinged, if you guys played Battle of the Horde, this is the plot point that it all hinged on. It was the siege of Akros. And you remember this guy, right? You remember Mogus, god of slaughter? Well, there's a new god, his brother, that you'll see in this set. And whereas Mogus is the god of slaughter, Erois is the god of valor and victory. So they both govern the domain of war, but one is the dark carnage, malice, and Erois is the god of valor and victory. And they have, well, here, you saw Erois, you glimpsed him in Born of the Gods, so here he is. Akros is the city of warriors, the city that has never been conquered. Mogus and Erois are always at each other's throats, and Akros has been their mortal battleground. So what Xenagos did is during the silence, he incited Mogus's Minotaurs to besiege Akros. It wasn't really that hard to do. Mogus wants to stomp Akros into oblivion. But as he expected, legions of soldiers from Miletus and Setessa sort of flocked to Akros' aid, including Elspeth. And they were victorious. They defeated the Minotaurs. Here's a shot of King Anax fighting the Rage Blood during the siege of Akros. And as is custom in Theros, when there's a great victory, you hold a great celebration. And they held it outside the gates. And this was the final opportunity that Xenagos needed to ascend to godhood. So this made Heliod and a lot of the Pantheon incredibly angry. And Heliod blamed the mortals. And in particular, he believed Elspeth was complicit in Xenagos' ascension, and she was cast out into the wilderness. She was there that night during the Great Revel when it went from celebration to just something really horrible and awful, and people lost all reasons, and there was violence, and something terrible happened to her friend Daxos. And so the Elspeth that we knew from a few sets ago would have left. She's a planeswalker. She can just go somewhere else and look for a new home, right? But this is Elspeth's hero journey, and something fundamental has changed in her, and she's going to embrace the things about her that are powerful and the things about her that are a planeswalker, and she's going to stay, and she's going to fight, and she's going to try to set things right in Theros. And she's not going to do it alone. Her friend Johnny is there, and he has always been able to look at Elspeth and see her, no matter what state she's in, for like her ideal, the thing that she can aspire to be. The two of them are going to go battle their way into Nyx. So you can't just walk into Nyx. It's not that easy. There's one person who might know, I should say God, and that's Krufix. But his Temple of Mysteries is at the edge of the world on a waterfall, and they're going to have to get on a boat, and the seas are Thassa's domain, and she's just mad about everything, and Kiora Kiora's there, and she's causing some mischief. So, and this is Theros, so Krakens.
Note the scale sharks.
Yeah, right? You can see that. So, if you ask me, are they going to make it? Are they going to get into Nyx and fight? I'm going to say, yeah, they're going to get into Nyx, and they're going to fight. And it's going to be epic. So, I have used up all my time. You guys are awesome listeners to Storytime. Thank you.
Make sure you guys check out Jenna's book. It's available as an ebook. Part 1's out now, but you definitely are going to want to read Part 2 to find out how the story ends.
Yep. Thanks. And we're going to go to Dave.
Hello. How's it going? So I'm Dave Guskin. My primary reason I'm here today to talk to you is because I created the Hero's Path, which is this year-long campaign to have some in-store events that kind of follow the moments in the story that Jenna was talking about. And maybe you've played through some of them so far. I'm going to talk to you about kind of the last act of that story, Quest 7, 8, and 9. I've been on other design and development teams, but today I'm going to talk to you in my role as experienced designer and kind of go through what we were thinking and why we did the kind of things we did with this last act of the story. So here are the 3 quests that remain. You can go to the next one at the pre-release. As you saw, many of you on your seats got the first 6 hero cards, so we're hoping that you'll go out and collect 7, 8, and 9. But there's some special stuff going on with those, so I want to talk to you about how that works and what's going to go on in those in-store events. Even if you haven't been to any of the previous quests, you can still participate and pick it up at any time. In fact, if you just wanted to waltz in and fight in the last battle for Quest 9, that's cool. Good luck to you. But we are not leaving you unarmed, so hopefully you'll take what you've got today, go get some more hero cards, and then battle against Xenagos at the end. So this pre-release, you should definitely go to it. It's in 2 weeks, April 26th and 27th. You'll be able to play with new Journey to Nyx cards, which Dave Humphries will be talking about after I finish. And you can also collect the next hero card in the set. The quest that will be at that pre-release, we're calling Forge a Godslayer. This kind of represents the moment in Elspeth's story where she has to find something that will help her, that will aid her in the quest to defeat Xenagos and set things to right. Kind of in the classic hero's journey, she's got to find that last power she needs to take on the final challenge. So you can choose a color, again, at this pre-release. That also corresponds to which Godslayer you will be forging in a special activity at that pre-release. And I'm going to walk through that activity with you now. So here are the 5 hero equipment cards that you'll be able to use. For those who don't know, the way a hero card works is you get to start with it on the battlefield against the 3 challenge deck experiences for the Theros block. So there was one at Theros Game Day. Your store may still have it there. You can still play it if you want. Face the Hydra. We had Battle of the Minotaurs, Battle of the Horde at Born of the Gods Game Day. And then this one, which I'll talk about in a minute, is against Xenagos, kind of that final battle. So you start with these on the battlefield, and they do what they say they do. These equipments you get to equip to your creatures. So this is the Bow of the Hunter. This is what you get if you select the green box. This is Axe of the Warmonger. This is what you get if you select the red box. And then, of course, Slash of the Tyrant for the black box, Cloak of the Philosopher for the blue, and Spear of the General for the white. Now, you might notice there's this big space on these cards. What's that about? Like, there's just a big gap on my magic card. That's super weird. And you're right. That is super weird. The reason is because we have a special activity where we're letting you craft your own weapon. So we're letting you customize your card permanently, or, if you want to modify permanently, you're welcome to use the modification as you see fit. But basically, you'll get to do this activity, Forge a Godslayer, where you collect components, representational components, which you then redeem for a sticker that you then stick onto your card, and you get an extra power for your weapon. So it's really up to you what Godslayer you want to forge, which we think is pretty exciting. Kind of represents some crafting mini-game stuff that goes on in other games. We wanted to bring that in as a little activity for you to do at the pre-release alongside playing with the cards. So how does it work? As you play in matches at the pre-release, you will collect these component stickers. The winner of the match gets their choice, and then the loser of the match gets a remaining sticker. There's many different ones you can create, 7 different choices. You can trade them if you want. You can keep playing past the 3rd round to get even more stickers to try to get the one you want. And then once you've finished, you will get a permanent enhancement sticker that you get to put onto your card. So that's how it works. We hope you enjoy it. It should be a pretty fun customization experience. And of course, if you want to repeat and get even more different hero cards, you're welcome to do that as well. Okay, so that's the pre-release, and you'll use that hero card at game day. But in between the two, 1 week later, is the release of Journey to Nyx, when you can drop into the store, buy some product, play in some drafts or some sealed, modify your existing decks to play just in some games with friends. This is the hero card you'll get when you solve a puzzle poster. This is the 3rd of its kind at that event. I'm not going to show you the poster. It's the mysteries of Krufix, as Jenna explained. He's definitely key in this set story. But go to the launch weekend event, and you'll be able to solve that puzzle and get this hero card. We think it's pretty fun. It'll require a little bit of mind-bending thought, but you'll be able to get it. All right, and then finally, at game day, so game day is on May 24th and 25th, you can defeat a god, which is essentially battle against Xenagos in a special challenge deck experience. Challenge decks, for those who don't know, are a modified game experience where you bring your own standard deck and you play against a special deck that's configured to fight against you in a particular way. You can play against it yourself. You can have a friend run it against you. You can have many friends come as a team to play against it. So there's a lot of ways to play. It's kind of up to you, where it's designed as a fun experience to try to evoke that story moment, let you battle that final epic battle, as Jenna described, against Xenagos. So here's the hero card you'll get when you play in that experience. And then for those who defeat Xenagos, while supplies last, there is a special promotional version of the card Hall of Triumph, which is a rare from Journey into Nyx that you'll be able to get for playing through that experience and winning. I don't have the full playmat here, which shows the rules for the experience. That should be on our website in the Heroes Path FAQ update that I wrote. So be sure to check that out, and you'll be able to kind of digest the rules and then figure out what kind of deck you want to bring to fight against Unigos. So that's all I've got. So I encourage you to go to the pre-release to launch weekend and game day to finish out the Heroes Path. As I said, even if you've never played in one of those quests before, you can start with Journey into Nyx pre-release. And I'll hand it over to Dave Humphreys. Thanks.
So who's been enjoying the Journey into Nyx previews this week? So this is the third set that I've led development for in the past 3 years. Of note, this is Ethan Fleischer's first design lead from Great Designer Search fame. In terms of this entire block, we've really been trying to play up 3 pillars of design and development, that being gods, heroes, and monsters. So gods, you've seen all through the block. I put up here Keranos, one of the Journey into Nyx gods. We saw Athreos earlier today. These follow very much the mold of the Born of the Gods, 2-color gods. We have the 5 enemy color gods in this set, the allied ones before that, and you saw the monocolored gods in Theros. In terms of, we round out the pantheon here, we are trying to do a lot to play up the struggle between the gods and the mortals, and the Nyxborn and the mortals. We have a new mechanic, that being Constellation. This not only is a Greek-inspired setting, but also a enchantment-themed setting. We wanted to really deliver on that. We saved a lot for Journey into Nyx and what you might expect for an enchantment-based setting. Constellation does that very well, in that whenever an enchantment enters a battlefield under your control, you get a trigger. This includes things like enchantment tokens and other stuff that you might find as you look back previously in the block. Here we have an Enchantress, Eidolon of Blossoms. What would an enchantment block be without an Enchantress? So things can get kind of crazy as you get more and more of these cards in play. This is a new card here today, Forgeborn Oreads. This is another example. Whenever an enchantment enters a battlefield, you can do 1 damage to a creature or player. So, if you've played this after Eidolon of Blossoms, you're getting to draw a card, do 1 damage. The next Constellation card you play, you're maybe drawing a card, doing a damage, and something else, and it can really scale and do some wacky stuff. Also, in terms of the setting, in terms of the conflict between the gods and the mortals, we wanted to tweak Bestow in a few different ways. Design had handed off a plan to have Bestow creatures primarily be put on your opponent's creatures. That was tricky during development, and ultimately we decided we wanted to keep this malevolent aspect of these gods' blessings. So they do all have a drawback. Most of the time, though, you're going to want to put them on your creatures, but especially with several of the designs, there are going to be key moments when it might make most sense to put it on your opponent's creatures. Also, in terms of playing up the enchantment theme, we look for other things we can do. This is one cycle that's in the set of dictates. This was something that I had pitched actually in both Theros and Born of the Gods, since I was on those development teams. Those leads didn't find room for it in the set, but since I was leading the set, I thought, well, why not? Let's try it here finally. So the inspiration here is that we have a lot of iconic enchantments in our game that often are symmetrical effects that your opponents can take advantage of them as well as you. What if we tried to make some of these flash so that you could put them out at the end of your opponent's turn and have the first chance to generate a lot of mana, like perhaps with George Fan's card we saw earlier. So we're looking through lots of different ways to add into the enchantment themes, new effects that could be put on enchantment creatures, any ways to play up other things that would work with the block. And then this brings us to heroes. So again, we're looking for more ways to show progression, show sort of an army of heroes gathering together. This is a heroic card from the set. I put this up here in large part, other than that it's a pretty cool card that can let you take lots of turns potentially if you can figure out how to do so. It's also here to remind you that the heroic ability is one in which you want to be targeting these heroic cards with spells. This brought us to, we had a lot of goals for what we wanted the mortal mechanic to be. We wanted it to be something that played well with the heroic cards that I just showed you. This is a strive card that lets you target any number of things if you have enough mana, so you can be getting heroic triggers off of all of the heroes you might have in play. We also wanted to shift sort of a balance of what you might be doing in this block, both in limited and constructed. Earlier in the block, there's a lot of stuff that encourages you to put more and more enchantments on just one creature you have in play. We have more in this set that encourages you to go wide, to give you more of a feel of an army of heroes in play rather than putting all your eggs in one basket. Also, this does other good stuff for us in terms of giving people mana sinks if you have a lot of mana later in the game. Let's go to another new card. So this is Polymorphous Rush. This is for those of you that like polymorphing or cloning types of effects. This lets you choose a creature on the battlefield, and any number of your creatures can become a copy of that creature. Apparently swine was the choice on this card.
It's usually the right choice.
This may be a card you recognize from Born of the Gods. Also, in terms of filling out the third set, we wanted to make sure that there are a lot of things that played into other cards and themes that you've seen in the set. Here's another new card, King Makar, the Gold Cursed. So you can see he's living around with a lot of gold-touched buddies and looks kind of sad about things. But we also have here, in case you didn't know, Inspired returns here. We realized at the end of the Born of the Gods that there still needed to be more cards for you to really fill out a deck if you wanted to build a deck around Inspired, and yet more ways that you can pull together a bunch of gold. And finally, this brings us to monsters. A lot of the focus of the set was playing up the struggle between the gods and Nyxborn versus the mortals. Development, one of their challenges was to give further identity to the monsters. At design handoff, the monsters didn't have a mechanic per se. We decided after a lot of playtesting that we really wanted to bring back monstrosity.
Yo, dog, we heard you like Hydras.
More things to do that dictate you saw a few minutes ago. So yeah, a lot of it is we had to choose between Tribute and Monstrosity. We felt Tribute lends itself to a lot of powerful individual cards, but Monstrosity was more likely to be part of decks that people were putting together that were ramping up and that might have a lot of other monsters in decks that people were building. It also helped that play up the ramping monstrous themes that we're working out in Limited. Another little cycle, this was a card that had come through from design. It was a card we really latched onto that had a dragon that, in this case, cared about the number of basic lands you had in play of its color. We cycled that out for each of the colors, and that was another sort of thing that you could notice that we had a group of monsters all doing something similar. And I guess I will leave us in a minute here with bringing us to Ajani for anyone who hasn't seen Ajani yet. We have Ajani here who can search out some friends, he can distribute some counters on his allies, or he can gain you 100 life.
We recommend that one.
All right, so we have a little bit of time to take some questions. So I believe there are some microphones set up at this third. If you would please walk. We will take questions one at a time, and we will do our best to answer them.
Looks like it. I mean, her hair and her rest of her outfit. Christine's Michael, actually. The green sword is kind of confusing.
Oh, yeah. All right, I think we're probably ready. If you want to go ahead, sir.
Hey, my name's Gene. I noticed you didn't talk about conspiracy, so I have a question about that.
No. I really wish you hadn't even brought that up. We're not allowed to talk about that. So, if you guys don't know, conspiracy is a new product. The only thing I can say is the stuff that's public already. All right. So, it is a set that is a multiplayer booster draft set. It's a new format for Magic. And it's coming out on June 6th. I can't say much more about that. If you're into Commander, if you're into cube drafting, or if you just like unusual formats, you're going to love this set. But I really can't... Excuse me. Yes. The presentation's over. There's nothing else. Yes, Your Highness. Planeswalker symbol? No. Yes, Your Highness. Yes, I understand. Just one. Got it. All right, that was King Brago. Apparently he was watching the stream and he called from Paliano. He favors you. He said that you will get to determine the next preview for Conspiracy. Now, I would recommend... Hold on.
What have you unleashed?
Clearly, I would recommend you get some input from the other audience members. So, who wants to see a new card type? Okay, who wants to see a new legendary creature? Okay.
Don't boo.
Who wants to see a new mechanic? How about a new planeswalker? It's tough, and you are only going to get to pick one. King Brago was very clear about that. And since he's a ghost and is still watching the Twitch stream, I'm not going to mess with him. So, what is your pick, sir?
I gotta go with new card type.
So King Brago did say something about one of his minions and a quest. So is that, are you, yeah, okay. All right, well, enjoy your quest, sir. I hope we got him to sign a release.
It won't matter very soon.
All right, next question.
I was also going to ask about conspiracy, but now I'm afraid that I might get hurt, so thank you, bye.
Next question.
We do have a question from Twitch.
Ooh,
there are about
great.
5,000 or 6,000 people watching this live on the internet.
Hi,
And
internet.
The question from Lohannes Madden is, why, starting with M15, are there 20 more uncommons in the large sets?
A lot of that decision boils down to replayability of limited. We feel that uncommon is a great place to put build-around cards for draft, and having more room there just gives us a lot more freedom to make cards that you'll open up and then you'll like, oh, that gives me a very clear idea of what I want to be picking in future draft picks. So a lot of it has to do with improving limited play.
Good question.
Thanks, Twitch.
I'm a big fan of the novels and the storyline, and I was wondering, since you're doing ebooks now instead of real books, if there's any chance you'll go back and fill in the story of some of the sets that never had a novel?
We are always looking for opportunities to tell more and more stories. So we have heard people tell us places that they'd like to see more, and we are making notes of those, and we talk about them on the creative team. So if we can find an opportunity to do that, whether it's a novel or maybe through Uncharted Realms, we will look for those opportunities.
Are you thinking of something in specific?
I can't remember. I know there was one block that kind of came between the novels.
Innistrad?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I have lodged that in my brain, and we will look for opportunities to tell stories that people enjoyed, and yes.
I'd like to see some of the older sets as well.
The older sets as well. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Greetings, planeswalkers of the coast of Hasbro.
Hello, Stoneforge Mystic.
I come from Zendikar to petition you to unban me from Modern.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
After all, artificers don't kill people, artifacts kill people. GK is banned. My best friend Jace is banned. Batterskull misses me. I get letters. Core are cute. Tarmogoyf needs a friend. Dark Confidant needs a friend. Snapcaster Mage needs a friend. No one likes red anyway, except Lightning Bolt still works. I should be fair. Thank you for listening to me.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
I actually had a Stoneforge Mystic related question too, which is like the weirdest timing. So props to you, Stoneforge. With the new card frame, have we seen the end of old frame Judge promos? I was kind of hoping for an old frame Stoneforge Mystic to search off an old frame Sword of Fire and Ice. Are there any plans along that front?
Well, we'd never say never. I mean, now you've got 3 different card frames to choose from, right?
Plus Future Sight. Hint, hint.
We can't say that we have any specific plans for that.
All right. Thanks anyways.
Thank you.
Hi. I know that the colored boxes for the pre-releases really help new players, but a lot of stores don't run sealed except during pre-releases. So for players that like sealed but want a deeper experience, it's kind of frustrating. Are there any thoughts to like keep it only to the core set? I mean, it worked really well with Ravnica, obviously, because like you want to pick your guild and like Orzhov and everything. But like maybe for like only the core set to like help people get in, and then in the expert sets there should be the option to not have the colored boxes.
Sure, yeah, I hear that. We have been looking into that. Obviously with Theros and Born of the Gods and also Journey to Next, we kind of tried this model of picking a color as opposed to picking a faction like with the guilds. And we're looking at that data and trying to figure out what to do about it. It's true that it is very helpful to have that seeded box for newer players, and we have found, maybe surprisingly, that at nearly every set there is a large influx of new players, especially for fall sets, no matter what.
Right.
So, yes, definitely, I really appreciate the feedback. We're definitely looking into that, and we are talking about ways to improve that, kind of the choice and the way that we're giving people a little bit of direction if they need it at pre-releases in a way that satisfies both newer players and our enfranchised players.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. One of the things I love about working at Wizards of the Coast, I mean, we get the internet in Seattle too, and we look at what all of you guys are saying, and we take that feedback, and we go out to pre-releases and Grand Prix and Pro Tours and events, and we watch, you know, how you guys are interacting with the game, and we're constantly making changes to try and improve the experience for you to make it the best possible one.
All right, hi, I'm Clues. Among other
Clues.
things, I'm a Magic judge, and so I have a really inside baseball kind of question for you. So
we make Magic, not baseball, Clues.
Oh, I know. But bear with me. Keranos, God of Storms, there's this thing on the lower half of his card that isn't really a triggered ability. It's just a thing. And so if players fail to do this at competitive, where they reveal that first card that they draw, it's really a game rule violation, not a missed trigger. Did you guys think about that when you were doing this? Because GRVs get upgraded. Missed triggers, if this were beneficial, we'd just ignore. So did we think about it? Can I blame Tayback is really what I want to know.
You can always blame Tayback.
Sorry, Matt.
We had to toy around a lot with that card to get it to work. We looked at a lot of different wordings. I mean, ultimately, in our organized play events, it's going to be you know, up to people to be accurately and fairly treating any violations like that. But in terms of getting the card to work exactly the way we wanted, that was the wording that we thought was best for what we needed.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Oh, we can't hear the mic, unfortunately.
Testing?
Oh,
okay,
better,
there
yeah.
we go. Great game, guys, first of all.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I was wondering, with all these new online games, card games specifically, coming into the space to compete with Magic, such as Hearthstone, Hex, some bad ones like Soulforge, with all these Where do you guys see the future of Magic Online? I know you have a beta client out, but I've heard a lot of mixed feedback in terms of, is the old client good? Is the new client better? Are they both just not that great and they need to restart? Where do you guys see that game going?
You're talking about Magic Online specifically?
Specifically, yes.
We're constantly working on improving Magic Online. It is the closest thing to a paper experience that you can have in the digital arena. And it's a very complex set of cards that we have to get to make work correctly. We know there's some areas for improvement on it, and we're working really hard to implement those. And I think you'll see with the new client that a lot of those changes are going to pay off.
Should also say, without promising anything, that we do often have discussions in Magic R&D about those other digital games you talked about and ways that in the future, depending on when we can actually get to it, we'll be able to make a more digital experience that's... If Magic Online is our best translation of the paper game, we've talked about ways that we can kind of expand beyond that, put it that way.
Okay, great.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
With the rise of the format of Modern, a lot of people around my local game store have been having a hard time obtaining fetch lands, and I was going to ask you guys your opinion of reprinting the Zendikar fetch lands for the new Modern players that want to be involved in the competitive format.
One of the reasons that we created the Modern format is that we wanted to be able to create a non-rotating format in which we could reprint the cards. And so we're always looking for ways to make that format more accessible, more fun. And so I think it's a fair bet that someday that will happen.
Thank you.
Testing? Okay. Mark Rosewater has talked before about power creep and trying to slow it down. He's also said that R&D has all of their, like a few next blocks planned out. Was Born of the Gods with a lot fewer cards that have been seen in other formats, with just Bramaz being the main one, where in Ravnica we had Sphinx's Revelation and a ton of other cards. Deathrite Shaman just managed to get itself banned. Was Born of the Gods toned down in power to slow power creep, or kind of to reset it so that it would be like kind of ratcheting itself back up to get another set that would be toned down in power again?
With Born of the Gods, one thing to keep in mind, we've been treating you guys with a lot of large sets. Born of the Gods is a small set. Sort of with that, we sort of have a quota, if you will, of like how many good and strong constructed cards we want in each of our sets, and that varies on set size. Born of the Gods matches up very well with what we expected and hoped to be a lot of exciting cards for a small set. So yeah, there was no intentional change in our philosophy. And like in general, power levels, we've been trying to be consistent. We want the game to be sustainable. We want, when the next set comes up to develop, we don't want it to be the case, well, there's not much to improve upon here without doing ridiculous things.
We have one more question from Twitch. Walrus Face asked,
Excellent
future,
name, Walrus Face.
Does Wizards plan on doing more of these Heroes Path-esque pre-releases in the future? The events were pretty interesting, and I was curious if this was a new trend.
Great question. So the answer is yes. We have plans, as Mark mentioned, for Magic 2015 core set. For the first time with a core set, we have an experience that's kind of alongside the pre-release. And my primary job, and there's others who work with me in R&D to do this, is to create some of those kind of experiences you can play alongside an event in store, or just kind of go to your store maybe on an off day to do that kind of thing, like the challenge decks. We are looking for opportunities to do that in future blocks. I don't believe there's any intention of stopping those. I think they've been going over well and that they've been fun for our players. So yeah, we're definitely looking for ways to do that, not just at pre-releases, but at all events in store.
I was wondering just how tall Garrick Wildspeaker is. Is he the tallest humanoid planeswalker?
That's you, Jenna.
Yes, I think Ajani is close up there, but Garrick has him beat. So.
Yeah, he's very, very tall.
Yeah, because of the campaign for this summer, we've been looking at how big he is in real life compared to human beings, and it's pretty insane. He is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, go check out at the booth. We have a mock-up of his helmet, and it's actually based on, what it is in real life.
I've worn that helmet. It's heavy.
I believe it.
So I want to thank you, first of all. I'm not your typical demographic. I got into this because my son was learning, and I figured I better help him out, and I'm hooked. And he likes... We started with FNM Standard, and then we got into Commander, and then you released the Commander sets, and oh my lord. So, one of the things that I find highly interesting is not just how you build a set with the new demographics all working together and synergies and things like that, but how one card from the set you've just got coming out works so well with that card that was so many years ago, and you've just now created this really cool thing that I've just got to put into this next Commander set. Do you encounter those things in playtesting, or is that just an Easter egg luck kind of thing that we run into?
That's a good question. Yes, we get a lot of both. I mean, we certainly try to plan out a lot of things. We're planning further into the future and getting a sense of what themes will be coming up. So we do what we call seed cards, which is like we put cards in, again, knowing that it'll be very good when that set comes out, like say a year and a half later, and then, that we can... we can get sort of spikes of powers and interactions that will then go away and let new things shine.
Just loving it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. First, I'd like to say I love what you guys do with multiplayer, the Commander series, Plane Chase, all those, Arch Enemy, just love those. But I was curious, are you guys going to do another huge set expansion like you did with Lorwyn, where it's just like 4 blocks or maybe more than that?
Well, what are you asking exactly? Are we ever going to do it again?
Yeah,
I think it's very likely we are going to do it again someday.
Okay. And second question, are we ever going back to Homelands?
So I think Homelands takes place on Dominaria, right?
I don't
No?
believe it does.
Is it Old Grotha?
Grotha,
Old
or
Grotha.
something like that. Old Grotha, that's
Old
very
Grotha.
fancy.
We don't currently have any plans to go back to Old Grotha.
But never say never.
Yeah.
Really
Thanks.
sorry about that.
Members of Wizards, greetings. My name is Herb.
Greetings.
And I have a question in regards to Theros Block. My question is, what was the thought process design development-wise behind giving each color access to each mechanic in Theros and Born of the Gods? I feel that color identity was somewhat lost as a result. That made non-creature spells had to be more accommodating as well, at the risk of playing devil's advocate. I mean, certainly a very exciting block, but it was a question I had to throw out there.
I think in general, I mean, we've gone into cases where, say, Infect will only show up in a couple colors or a few colors. You know, having been the lead for Miracles, I know there was a lot of sadness in the community when Black didn't get Miracles. I think in general we just felt like all of these things that were things that could be cycled out into all the colors. I mean, that's not to say that some colors we still hope are doing things better. Like we certainly want color pairs to have strengths in each of the mechanics, and so that's all there. We just didn't leave anybody completely in the dark on the mechanics.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Was Morrow serious when he said that Return to Kamigawa is coming up?
Sorry.
Did he post it on April 1st?
No, it was on his blogatog. And then he even said, oh my god, in a few years I'm going to regret saying that.
What a loose cannon.
I'm a big fan of that setting myself. We got to play in it a little bit in the Plane Chase decks with Knight of the Ninja deck, and you know there are going to be opportunities like that to explore it a little more in the future, but we don't currently have plans to go back there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
With NWO and
the increasing noob friendliness of general fall sets, calling them expert expansions is becoming more and more of a misnomer. Has there been more talk of a set like Modern Masters, except printed at a quantity where you could really draft it specifically to be hard?
In general, I mean, New World Order applies largely just to commons. I mean, that may result in experience that's not quite as deep as you might like, but it's something that we believe has led to a lot of the fact that, you know, Mark was talking about the growth of Magic.
Oh yeah, of course.
So we'll continue to offer releases like, you know, in the vein of a Modern Masters, or you'll have to check out Conspiracy too. But in terms of what's working for us in our main expert expansions, we still feel there's a ton of depth there.
Speaking of Conspiracy, I just got a text from Brago. So whatever his minion is doing may actually result in one of the other choices being previewed. So check the internet. How much more time do we have? Time. Can we do one? Okay, last question. Make it good.
Hey, my first question's a little bit silly, so I have a backup. Are you thinking of making a 5-color god?
Well, I mean, what can I say? I guess Chromanticore's boss would be that god, but I've sort of alluded to the fact that we're rounding out 15 gods and we're now done with the blocks.
Okay, second
maybe
question.
in some future setting.
That wasn't silly. I thought you were going to ask about squirrels or something.
Will there be any more squirrel creatures? No, I actually did have a question about specific creature types. Do you intentionally chain tribals, like Minotaurs were in Ravnica, and they're also in Born of the God?
What's the question?
Do you like intentionally carry over creature types like Minotaurs from Ravnica to...
Yeah, we definitely do pay attention to what's going to be in Standard together, and also, you know, what might be powerful together. As Dave said, there's a lot of looking into how the sets will rotate and when two things can be played together, and then, you know, some of the power will drop out to let the new thing shine as well. So there's definitely thoughts about that, especially when there's a tribal enabler, and we want to make sure that there's support for that both before it and after it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much for your questions and for being the best fans in gaming. We love you. Enjoy the rest of PAX.